What is going on, my friends? Halloween Horror Nights is about to start, and it's shaping up to be one of the busiest and best years that we've probably ever seen for Halloween Horror Nights, guys. So if this happens to be your first Halloween Horror Nights, first off, congratulations. This is a badass year to start off with. It's going to be so freaking awesome. But let's talk about some tips that will definitely help you conquer Halloween Horror Nights and get as much done as you possibly can, guys, because it's going to be awesome. Let's go. Alright, my friends, before we get started, do me one quick favor. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really does help us out. In this video, we'll be going over some more experience tips and some more common sense tips that will just help you conquer and get as much done as you possibly can, because it's going to be super busy. Because with this lineup and the hype around the IPs this year, it's going to be packed. So you're definitely going to have a plan. So let's go over some tips that will definitely help you out and help you get more done. Okay, starting off with the first tip, it is definitely arrive early, guys. Traffic alone can reach beyond an hour just getting into Universal, guys. It is insane. So make sure you get there early. If you can, just get there a couple hours early or 2 hours early or so that way you could be there and be ready to get in, because you know traffic can be insane, and the line to get into security and Halloween Horror Nights into Universal itself can be pretty long, you know. So make sure that you guys get there a little bit early so that way the moment you guys can get in, you're in the doors. We tend to go with the 2 p.m. day or night, so that way we can go and ride some rides and have some fun, and we're already in the park. Last year it worked out perfectly because they already gave us the wristbands right when we got there at 2 o'clock, so it comes with the early entry, so we were already in the park. So the moment 5:30 started, boom, we could start hitting houses. We were already in the park, we were already down in the lower lot. We went straight to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It opened in like 10 minutes, 15 minutes later, boom, we were in the house. And then we already had 3 houses done by 7 o'clock. And then right at 7 o'clock, we were already getting our s'mores, which was cold. I hope this year it's warm. With the Jason s'mores this year, hopefully that one's warm. And then by 8 o'clock, we had the entire lower lot done and our s'mores, guys. We're completely finished with the bottom lot, you know. So if you arrive early and you can do the early entry if you can, yeah, so if you guys can get there early, it's definitely going to save you some time. You're going to be ahead of the crowd, ahead of all the people in security, and ahead of all the traffic. Next up, this should also be a common one, but stay late. If you can, the later the event goes, obviously the height times are going to be between like 8 and 10 o'clock, 8 and 11, you know. Those are going to be the highest way, because everyone's going to be in the park and doing all the houses and doing everything, you know. So if you stay later, like if it closes at 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock, make sure you're staying there, because in the last hour or so, you can catch some really, really low wait times for houses. Like last year, let me just give you, for instance, last year, we had saved Insidious and Ghostbusters for last. You know, and when we got out of Insidious was about a 45-minute wait, but it kind of seemed like it went by faster, maybe about half an hour. It didn't seem too bad. But then by the time we got out of Insidious, Ghostbusters was literally a walk-on. It was a walk-on, guys. We literally just walked straight into Ghostbusters. No line whatsoever. And this is the end of the night. And we were still able to watch the Chucky show afterwards, because we made sure to get all the houses done before we went to go see the Chucky show. So then we still went to go see the Chucky show, and we still had time to ride. We went down to the bottom lot, rode Transformers, which I regret because it upset my stomach. So this year we won't be doing that. So you know what? I guess I'll have more time to do more houses. Maybe I'll repeat on Terrifier. I want to do that one like 3 times, you know, and Jason twice, you know. Whatever my favorite house is, I want to definitely try to repeat on that bad boy and double up or triple up if I can, you know. So fingers crossed I can triple up on Terrifier, you know. So arrive early and stay late, guys, because the later you're there, the lower wait times will be. But make sure that you get the Terror Tram done early, because I want to say the last Terror Tram leaves by like 11 o'clock. I believe it's 11 o'clock. So the event starts by 7. I want to say they do that because around 11 o'clock, figure it's going to take a while to get down there. You're going to walk it. So by the time you get back up, it's going to take possibly an hour. You know, because the Terror Tram is a pretty decent drive, and then you walk through the Terror Tram, and you still have to wait to get picked back up to be taken back up to the lot. You know what I mean? So it does take a little bit of a time. So make sure that if you do want to do the Terror Tram, make sure you get it done before 11 o'clock, because the last tram will leave by 11 o'clock. So do not hesitate on that one. If that's a priority for you, make sure you're there before 11 o'clock, at least by like 10:30 or 10 o'clock if you can. Okay, next up, make sure you have a plan. You know, have a plan. Try to figure out where the mazes are. We'll go over that here in a second. And prioritize your favorite houses, guys. Prioritize, prioritize, prioritize. You have one that you definitely can't miss, try to hit that one first. We know that Terrifier and Five Nights at Freddy's, those ones are going to be insane. Especially as we progress closer to Halloween, the potential wait times are going to be through the roof. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a minimum of an hour on those houses, because they're so popular. You know, so Terrifier and Five Nights at Freddy's, if you're planning on doing those houses, try to do those ones first. You know, if you want to do Terrifier, like for me, I want to do Terrifier first, and then I'll probably hit Poltergeist right after because it's right next to it, and then I'll probably make my way down to the bottom lot as quick as I can, so that way I can do Five Nights at Freddy's, Jason, WWE, and then depending on what time it is, then I'll probably say, okay, you know what, let's see if I can do the Terror Tram, you know, and then start doing the other houses that I can in the top lot, you know, Fallout and Monstros 3, and then maybe double up and then go back to Terrifier and then hit Terrifier all over again, and then go back down to the bottom lot and do Scarecrow. Either that, or maybe depending on the weight, maybe I'll even double up again on Terrifier and do that one 2 more times while I'm there. I'm really just going to go for the houses and the scare zones and the food, you know, and the food for sure. You know, but make sure that you prioritize your top houses, you know, and the ones that you have to do. So Terrifier and Five Nights at Freddy's, try to knock those ones out, you know, or if you can, try to save till the end of the night when they have hopefully lower wait times, you know. But you definitely don't want to save it till too late, and then you can run the chance of not getting to do the house, you know. So that's why I'd rather prioritize it first, you know. Alright, and also have a plan. Have a plan of attack. Okay, so let's kind of talk about where everything is at so you kind of know where you're going, you know. Let's start off with the top lot, you know. So let's start off with Terrifier and Poltergeist are going to be right next to each other. Terrifier is where Ghostbusters was last year, and Poltergeist is going to be where Insidious was, right next to each other. As I believe that's what they call the Curious Storage lot. I don't know. Let me know if I'm right or wrong. So if you're going for Terrifier, wherever Ghostbusters was last year, that's where you're headed, okay guys? So try to make sure you get there. And then for Fallout's going to be in The Walking Dead, where The Walking Dead used to be. So last year, that's where The Quiet Place was. So if you guys went last year, wherever The Quiet Place was, that's exactly where Fallout's going to be. And Monstros 3 is in the same spot that Monstros 1 and Monstros 2 was. Yeah, but if you can, just try to study the map of like where the houses are and where they're going to be, and just try to get them down. And then Terror Tram is, of course, where the studio tour is. And then moving down to the bottom lot, you have Scarecrow is where Texas Chainsaw Massacre was last year. You know, in the very, very back of the bottom lot. And then Five Nights at Freddy's is going to be where the Weekend House was last year. So it's right behind Transformers. So, you know, smack dab right behind Transformers. That soundstage is right there. So, you know, that's where you get in line for Five Nights at Freddy's will be right there to the left of Transformers. And then we have WWE will be in the Jurassic queue. So in like the extended queue for Jurassic World, that's where WWE, the Horrors of the Y6 will be. And then of course Jason will be behind Mummy. So behind the Mummy ride, that's where Jason will be. So try to have a plan of where you're gonna go, so that way you know exactly what you're doing, and try to keep those lots together. So like I said, if you want to do Terrifier first, then consider hitting Poltergeist right after. Then if Fallout's a priority, try to do the whole top lot. Try to get a little bit of food if you can. And then if Terror Tram's a priority, try to make sure you get that one done. You know, but if you can, try to group houses together and lots together, so that way you're not running back and forth. That was a mistake that we made our very first year, and that eats up so much time. That's a decent chunk of time, you know, spending on an escalator, you know, 8 minutes, you know. So to be doing that multiple times, you definitely don't want to do that. If you can, and your priority is Five Nights at Freddy's, you know, then boom, try to hit the whole bottom lot if you can. And then if your priority is Terrifier, then try to hit the whole top lot. Or if you're crazy like me, then you could try to do Terrifier and then possibly go to Poltergeist and then try to get to the bottom lot and get the whole bottom lot done, get some food, and then try to do the Terror Tram, and then try to finish off the last two, Fallout and Monstros, you know. And then, you know, of course, get more food, and then double up, you know, if we can, double up on Terrifier and other houses, you know. So that's the plan, you know. If you can, group those houses together, group lots together, so that way you're not constantly going back up and down those escalators, you know, guys, because it is a big chunk of time, and it's just a decent walk going back and forth from lot to lot, from the upper lot to the lower lot. So just keep that in mind, guys. If you can, group those lots together. Alright, next up, let's talk about food, too, because in this process, you definitely want to try some food. There's some killer food coming this year, guys. Terrifier food, Five Nights at Freddy's food. You know you got to try some pizza. You know you got to try some Terrifier food. That's what I'm most excited for, Terrifier food. You know, but if you can, if it's possible, try to get the food. You know, last year, we got our Ghostbusters, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man s'more. We got that s'mores right at 7 o'clock. Before any line really built up, it was literally just a couple people just standing down there just waiting for it. And then the moment 7 o'clock came, they already had them ready. Boom, we were able to get it right at 7 o'clock. And if there's multiple items from multiple different booths that you want to try, and if you have people with you, do consider splitting up. And, you know, say, I'm going to go grab food from this booth, so-and-so is going to go grab food from this booth, and we'll get back together, we'll meet here after we get the food, and then we'll all try everything. You know, if you can, it will save you time, so that way you're not waiting in each separate food booth all together as a group and stuff like that. If you guys can split up and be like, okay, well, you go grab that, I'm going to go grab this, so-and-so will grab that, we'll meet back right here in like 5-10 minutes, you know, and boom, you guys can all knock it out, and then you guys can all try everything, or try the one thing that you want, you know. So if you have the capabilities of splitting up to get the food, really do it. Unless they're in separate lots, you know, don't split up to go to separate lots. You know, if it's in like the bottom lot, then you can be like, okay, well, you go to Jason to get the s'mores, I'll go right here and grab something, you know, and if you want to go get some WWE food, that way you could all try everything, you know. But don't be going up to different lots, because that will take way too long. If you have the capabilities of splitting up, it will definitely save you time on getting food. And if not, you know, then just snack along the way, you know. Say, okay, right before you go to the next maze, we went and got it, and then we got in line for the maze, you know. So you could always, because luckily it was just right there, you know, and we finished the s'mores by the time we got in. So you could snack along the way, or snack as you go, you know, pick a food and then walk and eat, or go hop in line and then finish it in the queue. You know, usually there's trash cans that you could find, so you could toss it before you go into the maze. There usually is, because of drinks and food, so there's usually trash cans that you could find, so don't worry about hopping in line with food, and then you could toss it before you go in the house. But all these things will definitely save you time. You know, if you want to do shows, make sure you prioritize shows as well. Let's also talk about a couple more common sense ones, you know, because there's always ones that, you know, you forget because it's so much fun, there's so much going on, you know, but you definitely need to hydrate. Stay hydrated, you know, if you can, bring an empty water bottle, or just, you don't want to be buying water all through the night, especially if you're going to be buying food and drinks and merch. There's so much that you want to spend money on that it's not water. I know sometimes there's unforeseeable circumstances that can happen that you have to buy water. Like, for instance, last year, for Halloween Horror Nights, like I said, we got the 2 p.m. day and night, so we had went on the studio tour. It was so freaking hot. I want to say it was like 103, 105 or something like that. But the studio tour trams run on electric batteries, and they kept overheating. So while we were on the studio tour, we were broke down for like half an hour or 30 minutes. You know, so we had our water bottles, and by that time you're drinking all the water. Our water bottles also have like a misting feature, so that way you can kind of like mist yourself and stay cool. You know, of course, wetting our cooling towel. So like by the time, after 30 minutes or 45 minutes of being in that heat, because it was 103 outside, I want to say like 103, but inside that metal box of the studio tram, it was like 110, if not hotter. Like, my phone was overheating. I had to wrap my phone in the cooling towel so that way it didn't mess up the battery before Halloween Horror Nights. It was bad, you know. So I know that there's unforeseeable circumstances like that, because the moment we got off the tram, everybody was making their way to the water refill station to refill their water bottles, you know. So at that point where you're there sitting in like that heat for 45 minutes, and you're like at the verge of like, oh, we need water now. Are you going to stand in line of like 20 people and be like, this is going to take 20 minutes to refill our water bottle, you know, or at least 10-15 minutes? Or are you just going to walk to the stand and buy water? You're going to walk to the stand and buy water. So that's what we did. So I know that there's circumstances that are out of our control, you know, so just have patience, you know, and if you have to, buy the water. Because we're going to be walking tons and tons, you know, so that's another thing. Wear some comfy shoes, because you're going to be walking so many steps. You're going to be in the heat, because it's most likely going to be in the 90s again, or hopefully it's in the 90s, you know. Last year it was in the hundreds, you know, so I wouldn't mind the 90s, but hopefully it's cooler this year, you know. But make sure you're hydrating, especially if you're drinking. You know, if you're drinking alcohol, you definitely need to hydrate, because you're going to be sweating bullets out there, guys. It's most likely going to be hot. So make sure you're drinking water. You don't want to be passing out and then you miss all the houses because you passed out, right? You don't want that. And next up, make sure you wear comfy shoes. I know you want to look good for Halloween Horror Nights, but make sure you can wear shoes that you can walk a couple miles in, and flights of stairs if you're doing escalators up and down and stuff. Comfy shoes, you know, those are just some common sense ones. Hydrate, comfy shoes. Just the other stuff, make sure you get there early. If you can, if you have the capabilities, stay there as late as you can until close, you know, so you can get houses done with lower wait times. You know, like I said, prioritize, know where you're going, try to keep lots together so you're not going back and forth from the upper lot to the lower lot, and those escalator rides are 7 or 8 minutes, guys, so you don't want to be doing that over and over again. You know, and if you have the capabilities, split up for food, you know, so that way you guys can be in multiple lines at one time, you know, and then come back, gather up from, try the foods, you know, if you have the capabilities, you know. But there's so many ways that you can get so much stuff done. Like last year we did the whole bottom lot by 8 o'clock, then we went up to the Terror Tram, we did that, and then we had the whole top lot done with time to spare. We did the Chucky show, then we went and we of course walked the scare zone some more. And then we went back down to the bottom lot and rode Transformers, which I shouldn't have done. It upset my stomach. This year I'm definitely going to go and use that time to hit more houses, or, you know, double up on Terrifier if I can. You know, because I definitely want to do that house as many times as I can. That one and possibly Jason. I have a feeling those ones would be dope. Or maybe the WWE one, you know. Whatever my favorite houses are, I'm definitely going to want to double up on them so I can experience them. You also never know how the run-throughs are going to be. You know, if you get a week run-through, you know, and the scare actors aren't particularly ready. Because I've heard people I've heard people say that don't go to early entry because the scare actors, the houses aren't staffed and the scare actors aren't ready. But I went to early entry last year and the best 2 houses were my first 2 houses, you know, because the scare actors were on it. They were on point last year for the first 2 houses. They were going all out. So I don't know if it's just because it was opening night and they were like, we're ready, we're trained, we're prepared for this moment. But they went hard. The first 2 houses, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Weekend House, were my favorite 2 houses from last year. You know, the top 2 houses, and the scare actors were just on it, you know. So I know there's conflicting views and conflicting opinions, you know what they say about opinions, though. You know, so it's all just about based on your own experience. So whatever you feel like doing, just make sure you have a plan, and I guarantee you'll be able to get so much done. Because I hate when I always see influencers and people always saying you have to get Express, you have to do RIP. If you don't get Express, then you're missing out. You're only gonna be able to do so and so. I didn't get Express last year, and I got all of the houses done. Granted, it's also different as you get closer to Halloween. You know, when you get closer to Halloween and everybody's in the spooky mode, then of course it's gonna be busier. You know, and also on the weekends because you have teenagers that are gonna flock to the park. You know, so that's stuff to keep in mind too. You know, if you go on a Thursday, you can have lower wait times. It's all about just planning your trip, when you're going to go, you know, but you don't need Express. If you have the capability and you have the money, then by all means get Express. Get Express Unlimited, you know, or do an RIP tour. But hopefully, it's usually better to do an RIP tour closer to Halloween. And of course, the earlier the tour, the better. So that way, after you're done with the tour and done eating and everything, you can use your pass to get back into those houses as fast as you can. And you could possibly double up all over again. You could probably get the RIP tour done, in like 2 hours, 2.5 hours or whatever. And then probably double up all over again on all your favorite houses. You know, or possibly even triple up with your pass. You can get as much done as you can, you know. But the closer to Halloween and the earlier of the time slot that you get for the RIP pass, you know, for the RIP is, you know, the higher the value. So try to book one that's an earlier time slot, you know, but if you can, you always go whenever you want, whenever you're capable of going, you know, but just know that there's more value in it the closer you get to Halloween, you know, and the earlier the time slot you could book, because then after you're done, you could use that RIP pass to get back in, like an express pass, and get into those houses super fast, so that way you could double up, triple up if you want, you know. But I hate when I always hear and see influencers, they're like, you need express pass. Do you know if you don't get express pass, then you're a dummy? It's like, what are you trying to sell? You know, it's like, I understand that express pass, if everybody has the means to buy it, if you have the means, then buy it. You know, but don't be over here trying to make people feel like they're missing out or they're in lack or they're going to have a lesser experience because they don't have Express or they're not getting RIP. You know, that's where a lot of, you know, content creators, you know, are flawed, and they're like, you have to get RIP or you have to get Express or you're not going to get everything done. I've gotten everything done without it. You know, as long as you're organized, you don't have to be even running and, oh, I'm not going to be able to enjoy everything. No. You know, you could go with the flow and still just have a plan and get everything done, you know. But some people like, you know, to like stand around and bullshit. Some people like to, you know, not really have a sense of urgency and not really have a plan, you know. So that's on them, you know. But don't be fooled. Don't believe the hype. You're not going to have a lesser experience because you didn't get RIP or because you didn't get an express pass. Yeah, they definitely would make your experience better and a lot better and a lot faster, you know, to get into these houses. But it's not going to make you have any of a lesser experience. I've never had Express. I've never gotten RIP, and every single time I still have fun. And guess what? I'm still coming back. Last year I got every single house done, and watch this year on opening night. We're gonna vlog opening night. I'm gonna get every single house done again, and then some. Definitely gonna be doubling up on my favorite houses, you know. But guaranteed, I'm gonna get everything done again, and I'm gonna prove them wrong once again and show you guys, you know, you don't need Express to get everything done and to have fun. And make sure you're organized. Make sure if you can, get there early, stay there late, you know, split up to get food if you can. Prioritize your favorite houses and try to make sure you keep lots together, you know. Don't try to be jumping back and forth from lots, and I guarantee you'll have so much fun. You'll get so much done. If you have a plan and you're organized and you have a little bit of hustle, guaranteed you'll be able to get everything done, guys. But don't be fooled. But let me know if you're planning on going to Halloween Horror Nights. Like I said, we're vlogging opening night, so make sure you hit that subscribe button, because if you don't have the opportunity to go this year, you don't want to miss these houses, guys. You don't want to miss Terrifier. You don't want to miss Five Nights at Freddy's. It's going to be freaking awesome. So make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Come and hang out with us more often. Come and hang out with us for opening night. It's gonna be so freaking dope. I can't wait. Alright, my friends, I really hope this video helps you out in some way or another, and you're able to get a little bit more done or a lot more done and accomplish and conquer Halloween Horror Nights, guys. Like I said, you don't need Express, you don't need RIP. You'll be able to get everything done as long as you're organized, have a little bit of hustle. Alright, my friends, Thank you for hanging out with me. If you haven't yet, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, come and kick it with us more often. Like I said, we're vlogging opening night, so come and hang out with us, guys. If you don't have the opportunity to go to Halloween Horror Nights, at least you can go with us in the vlog, you know. But I really appreciate you watching this video, guys, and I really hope that it helps you out at least a little bit. But if you do happen to be going to Halloween Horror Nights and opening night, make sure you say hello. I hope I see you guys there. It's gonna be so much freaking fun. I've been waiting, oh my goodness, since last year for this. Shit, it's gonna be a blast, guys. Alright, thank you for hanging out with me. I'll see you guys later.